You are listening to the Stargate Sessions, channeled messages and healing transmissions from beyond. And I'm your host, Elise Reiki. Dearest Lightworker, we welcome you back. You have journeyed so far, and your journey has wearied your soul. Let us replenish your light body with rays of healing energy now. Please know that you have incarnated upon Earth at a sacred time, a time of much awakening on the planet. In theory, awakening sounds beautiful, and on a soul level it is. But in practice, the light body transcends deeply the outworn forms it has known so well for many ages. Like a snake, slithering from its old and outlived skin, you, Lightworker, are now stepping out of the lifeless old ways you came to know so well, which no longer serve you. You have outgrown them, and you are ready for a new, colourful, beautiful light body to emerge. For the journey of all lightworkers is to understand that their soul path is forever entwined with spirit, with a conscious love light energy of the universe. This is a time when all lightworkers have planned to return and to descend upon the Mother Gaia in a unified experience of awakening to the existence of a new reality. Think of your soul as the battery that is being recharged by the Mother Earth, and think of your purpose as the energy that is waking Mother Earth from her slumber and waking the energy lines and meridians within her to illuminate the planet and electrify and enlighten her cosmic purpose for our galaxy. Without she, the Mother Gaia, there would be no awakening. And without you, the cosmic consort, there would be no hope. This is a time when lightworkers are waking up to the existence of a new reality if they choose to be partnered with Spirit for the good of all. That good includes the Lightworker themselves. For those in denial of their own good will have less to share, less to offer the world. Perhaps you are receiving lessons in this area of worthiness, Lightworker. This is a time where lightworkers are being given the opportunity to choose to partner with Spirit in all areas of life, to lift the heavy burden of the reality paradigm or karma from themselves if they so choose. A time when lightworkers are learning that they are not here to work for others as they were in previous lifetimes, but to work with others if they so choose. This is the age of ascension, the age of Aquarius, a time you purposely chose to incarnate into to work with others for the good of humanity, not for others' good at the sacrifice of your humanity. Let you not be a slave to others. Let you be a liberated light bringer, here to shine your light with others in honor of your timeless, sacred soul. What is a light worker, you may ask? Well, one becomes a light worker the moment they acknowledge that there is more than the reality paradigm of the physical, of the seen matter that surrounds them. And this opens them to tools that they have been gifted to open to the abundance of light within themselves. And the more lifetimes a conscious light worker acknowledges their inner light, acknowledges that they are more than the reality that surrounds them, acknowledging that you have a power within your body of universal light, the younger you are to access these tools that the Creator have bestowed upon you in each lifetime, and the more powerful the path of healing and peace a soul is taking in their current earth time. What makes this time unique, which you have chosen to incarnate into, is that this is a time when more souls than ever have chosen to awaken in their lifetime. This is the time of collective awakening. And the 21st of December 2020 is a point of no going back for that choice of awakening within our lifetimes. Think of waking up, Lightbringer, as an optional extra, a checkbox that you've checked before boarding your flight to Earth in this lifetime. There is not a soul present in the world right now who did not check that option to wake up. The box that says within this lifetime, I choose to honor the light that is my soul. I choose to become a light bringer. You hear us say light bringer. This is because the term light worker is a term you as a humanity have chosen, which in itself is a 3D terminology because it involves work and toil, effort and hardship. This is what you have experienced in previous lifetimes, but this is not what you experience now. You no longer have to work for it. You simply bring the light everywhere you go. This is why we, the awakened light beings of Arcturus, here to serve our brothers and sisters incarnate on the earth plane, prefer to refer to you as light bringers. You turn up, you wake up, you bring the light. A light bringer is someone who awakens to the awareness that they are made of light, that they embody light, that this is the path to enlightenment, that life is the path to enlightenment. The chaos of this time is that everyone on earth right now has shown up to bring their light. And what that means is that they are open to the initiation of the light bringer, a realization that moves each soul beyond the reality paradigm to a new way of existing. For the old soul, this means discarding the baggage you have carried for centuries and flying light, exchanging fear for hope and abundance, for worthiness and optimism. For the empath, it is being a light bringer who in this lifetime has come to learn to master the light within and understand the intuitive instrument, which is their light body. For the healer, it is being a light bringer who, after mastering their karma and their light body, has come to show others the light and shine light into the darkest reaches of wherever their soul mission takes them. You who are listening and receiving this healing, maybe all these things or some of these things, it matters not to spirit. In the eyes of universal oneness, you are equal. Because whether you realize it or not, you are made of light, and you have chosen in this lifetime to have an opportunity to remember that and to shine your light so bright that the next time you incarnate, and there will be a next time, the next time you incarnate, you will never forget it. You will remember your soul magnificence the day you arrive, and this is the purpose of your soul. You will turn up. You will take your first breath. You will be awakened, and you will bring the light. Today, choose to remember, I am light. I am love. I am the creator. And so it is. Hello, I'm Elise Reiki. Welcome to the Stargate sessions, and thank you so much for tuning in at this transformative time. The channel just shared before by my beautiful master healing guides, the Arcturian master beings of light, or as they sometimes refer to themselves, the awakened light beings of Arcturus. For me, this information, when it came through, really lifted weight off my shoulders about this whole ascension journey that we've been on. My guides have talked to me for a very long time about that shift really being present from the beginning of 2012 in a very felt way, and that shift has been exponentially increasing. So I knew that we were in for a rough ride. My guides had previously mentioned that 2020 through to 2024 would be some really transformative and in some ways chaotic years as people were waking up. But you can never imagine what it's really like until you're living it, can you? And here we are living this experience of moving into the age of ascension and the age of Aquarius. So I hope, however that journey is going for you, that this information gives you a sense of relief that you're not alone, that the struggle is real but it's going somewhere, and in fact that we can ask for help from the star beings that support and surround us with love. So today I thought it would be beautiful to talk about Arcturus energy, the star of Arcturus, and the frequency that Arcturus star beings bring to us, as well as the starseeds. These are the incarnate earth beings who inhabit this earth plane and have a galactic connection in their origins to Arcturus. I am an Arcturus starseed. I was told this over many years by my guides. From a very young age, I always felt a relationship to them in some way, but as our consciousness evolves, as we grow up, our understanding of that shifts and changes. So in the beginning, they were just non-earthly presences that brought me information and told me about my soul mission. And then as that expanded, I started to understand who I was. So I hope to talk a little bit about that. But for those of you that are interested, Arcturus is a star that is a part of the Boots constellation near the placement of Virgo constellation in the night sky, which is approximately 26 times our sun in terms of its brightness and the light that it puts out. And it is said that Arcturian starseeds have a galactic origin that connects them to this particular fixed star, which has a blue planet that orbits around the star. It is at this frequency of Arcturus that we are said to connect with, and that we usually have some sense from very early on as Arcturus starseed children that we have come for a very specific mission. Now, this is not uncommon for most starseeds, and I hope to provide information about that as time goes on, about all the different starseeds and what I learn through channeling information through for my beautiful clients who come and see me face to face, for my members of my online healing community known as The Practice when it comes through. But today, let's talk about Arcturian starseeds and what makes them different. And one part of what makes Arcturian starseeds really beautiful and unique is that they will be very clear about the fact that they feel they have a special job to do or a special mission from a very early age, but often they have no idea what that is. They are just filled with this intent that they are here to do something, whereas overall, starseeds will say, yeah, I have a purpose. Might have a sense of what that is, or they might not. I frequently tell the anecdote that is a funny anecdote in my family about a time when my mum and dad were very young when they had us, and when my mum was quizzing myself and my brother, who's a few years younger than me, about what we would do when we were older. And this was something that was just a coming of age discussion that most parents would have with their kids. And my mum had said to my brother, "What are you going to be when you grow up?" And he said very cutely that he would be a fire truck, which was very well received, and everyone chuckled and how cute. And then my mum turned to me and said, "And what will you be when you grow up, Elise?" And I said, "I don't know yet, but I know I've got a job to do. And when my job is done," and then I pointed up at the sky, "I'm going back up into the stars to my home where I belong." And of course, my mum went white. And I'm a parent now, so I can understand how that statement from a 5-year-old would have been like a little bit shocking. And I continued with that for years to tell my mum, "I've got this important job to do, and then I'll go home to my people," which must have been so annoying for her. I actually look back now as a parent and feel so sorry for her that I would continuously reinforce that I felt like my real family were from there, and that I was just here for a moment of time. So you may relate to that. Most Arcturian starseeds feel very poignantly placed to do something of significance. They have a specific mission, and that mission can differ from each person. They may not have a clear sense of what that mission looks like, but they know that what they're doing will have some sort of futuristic outcome, that they may be progressing the collective consciousness on the planet. And this connects into this overarching theme of the Arcturian starseed, which is that they're very interested in the future and innovation, and they're particularly interested in the human light body. And my guides for many years would tell me that they invented Reiki, and I was always very suspicious of this. And I would correct them and say, "No, Reiki is Japanese." Obviously, what they meant was that they had channeled this information through. And what I have found in my research, because whenever I channel information from my guides, I like to go and Google and see what validates what they've said, is that other channels have said the same thing. And so the information that I'm going to share with you today is from a source of a lot of different channels and from my own channeling from my Arcturus guides. So what else do we know about Arcturus starseeds? And one thing I should add about the concept of a starseed is that sometimes there can be a lot of ego around these ideas, but really you're the only person that can decide what makes sense for you in terms of your star being origins. Some people will feel a clear sense of their star being origins and others won't. And this is something that I'll go into in a later session. But what I would say is no one can tell you you're not. There are many ways to connect with your star being origins and your starseed origins. This can be through going to see someone like myself and having that information come through, such as a psychic or a channel who's connected to starseed information. It can also be through your own meditation, your own channeling, your own guidance. It can be through astrology. I have mixed feedback about astrological readings. I'm yet to have one myself, so I would really like to have an astrological reading about my star being origins. And also, because I'm studying astrology, I would love to be able to offer these readings in the future. So who knows? I do have sometimes clients come away from those saying that it felt a little bit rigid and reductionist, and they didn't actually relate to what they were told, and they have a different relationship to a different constellation, that they've even worked with guides from a different constellation. And so what I would say about that is that some people will come through with a very deep connection to one particular star seed clan, if you like, and others may feel a connection to many, and that's okay. There's rarely a time, although it does happen when I channel information through for my guides, that I don't connect with most of what's come up for them. I think that just like our cultural heritage, we're sort of all connected. And so there's many strands of spiritual heritage and there's many strands of spiritual DNA, and your DNA could be very diverse. And so you are the only one that can really affirm and choose based on what feels right for you, whether you connect to this particular origin of starseed. Arcturian starseed beings are very intuitive, and their intuition is very mental. Whereas you may have pure empaths, as I call them, that get a lot of their information through their body, Arcturian starseeds may also have empathic abilities, but they feel that they heavily rely on their mind. They're quite often claircognizant. They often have this capacity towards telepathy. They're very mental. They can really focus with their mind. They're often strategists, scientists, engineers. They're really great leaders. They can be very inventive and right at the edge of science, and they usually have this capacity to use their minds in mind-blowing ways. So they've got very strong minds, and they benefit a lot from any sort of healing or spiritual disciplines and practices that utilize the mind, such as energetic healing, such as visualization, such as meditation. They land on Earth often already equipped, hardwired with the optional extra towards this very mental third eye based intuition. And that's because they are said to typically arrive on the planet with their third eye fully open and working. And for this reason, it is said that physically they may have very noticeable, striking eyes, that they may look in this way that's very knowing, that they may be able to see into your soul. That's a lot of the conjecture that surrounds Arcturian starseeds. So any kind of characteristic around your eyes may be an indication that you're an Arcturus starseed, but I do find the physical characteristics that connect to starseed information to be quite binary, and from what my guides tell me, they're not always very accurate. So I wouldn't worry too much about that if it doesn't relate. So Arcturians really resonate with anything that connects science and spirituality. They're quite interested in quantum physics, innovative science, astronomy, astrology, sacred geometry. They tend to utilize their upper three chakras a lot, particularly their throat chakra. They're often really good speakers and lecturers. They are quite opinionated, and they will be very drawn to colors that connect with the colors that are surrounding the planet of Arcturus, which tends to be various shades of blue, purple, lavender, and mauve. These sorts of dusky colors, like the sunset, look very similar to that which my guides have shown me from Arcturus. And interestingly, I got a stepped model of discovering who I was. So from as young as 5 and 6, I had visitation from my Arcturus master being guides, who I knew were not earthly, and I knew that they were not past loved ones or dead people, because I'd had that experience before and that had been much more frightening. I always felt much more safer with these guides. They were the ones that would deliver me that sense of what I was here to do. They wouldn't necessarily tell me what exactly, I think, because it probably would have freaked me out, but they would regularly say, you are here for something, we'll help you remember that. Then when I got into my teen years, I got obsessed with spirituality. And when I would meditate, I would see the colors of my aura. And up until about the age of 17 through to 19, my guides would communicate to me that the origins of my soul very much came from this blue energy. They didn't necessarily say blue planet, but they talked a lot about the blue purple ray of light that was in my soul, that I had a lot of it in my aura, and that I had come to use that. And again, I did not understand that, but it sent me on a journey to go and explore and remember things that I feel I've probably learned in between lives and in other lives about myself as a soul body, as an Akashic being. And you may relate to that because you may have had similar experiences. Starseeds will have this uncanny capacity to see patterns and shapes and make sense of things in this incredible way that people sometimes find hard to keep up with. And they also have a capacity to sense very deeply in confusing kind of ways. Sometimes we call that synesthesia, although I never related to the concept of synesthesia, but I guess when I think about it, there is an element with me that's mildly synesthesic, which is if I get a sense with a picture or a word or a number, I will often get a feeling and lots of information with that. Now, I've just assumed that was psychic information, but in researching the references of other channels, they're saying that sometimes that mix of senses can be something that Arcturian beings really connect with. I've got a number of clients who are star seeds of Arcturus, and they talk about really getting a sense of feeling, positive and negative, from the vibration of certain numbers. So it can affect you in this broad way, smelling colors, having all these wild sensory experiences. And this is why many people that are actually star seeds, I would also describe as spiritual sensitives. They're very sensitive. And this is a very positive thing in the reality paradigm, as the Arcturians would call it. In the 3D world, it's been maligned, but we are moving into a consciousness and an energy where this sensitivity is celebrated, and not only celebrated, but absolutely necessary. And this is what is causing this really difficult experience of waking up. So Arcturian beings and star seeds tend to be very much at the forefront of things. They like to invent things. They may make new models of healing or science or things that we become exposed to that progress society along. I find Arcturian star beings connect very much with air signs in their chart, and many of them will have very important placements of Aquarius because they're very mental. They're very connected to thought and thinking. They can be quite mysterious. They tend to hold themselves back, and they are people that tend to keep you at a distance even though you feel very close to them. And it's only the people that they hold very close to their life, the near and dear, that would know who they truly are. And this is what they've learned from reading and working with energy over many years, because Arcturian starseeds are very ancient souls. They are pretty reserved creatures with the exception of being opinionated, and they are very philosophical, and they are very interested in having very deep discussions. And so my master guides who have come through basically feel that it's really important that we understand as beings, when we get a sense of our celestial origins, that there is this capacity to kind of see these traits. Many of these traits I actually saw as flaws for years. I really outcast and distance myself from these aspects, but I came to realize that these were the very things that I was delivered for. And once I accepted them, I was able to rein them in such a way that they were very useful for me. So perhaps as that beautiful channeling from the Arcturian master beings of light came through for you, you were able to resonate with that. And it wouldn't matter what your starseed origins were. It wouldn't matter if you have no connection with star beings and starseed theory at all. If that doesn't appeal to you at all, you will still receive the beautiful multidimensional healing that their session offered. I wanted to mention some of the things that really struck me out of that channeling. One was the area where they spoke to working with people and not for people. And as a healer, as a psychotherapist, as someone that has had extremely good boundaries, I found that within 2020, and particularly through the series of lockdowns that we went through in Australia, but more so after we went into many of the conjunctions that involved Saturn this year, I found this really intense need to become a lot more boundaried. And for the most part, that was really well received. I have actually thousands of clients. I have had the pleasure of working with. And I have a large group of souls that are working with me at this time. And so I'm seeing large patterns. Many of them are healers. Many of them are people that have come to enact a specific mission on this planet. They're starseeds, they're empaths, they're old souls, they're beautiful light bringers. And they really have had to learn that they can help people the most when they're boundaried. There is a beautiful quote from Brené Brown that the most empathic people are also the most boundaried people, and that became my savior when I moved from clinical practice into open spiritual work, because my work was in demand and I needed to reserve my energy to be able to do it. And for many years, my guides had told me that this year would be the year that I would need to become more protective of my energy, but not in a fear-based way, just new things that I would work with. So the section where they talked about this is a time that we're working with others, not for others, was really striking for me. And the fact that it was really linked to being an old soul and coming back many times and having used our light for the benefit of others, but often that was used against us. We were persecuted. We were used and abused for our light. And so that really made sense that it is about working with. And if you look at all the best channels in practice today, they're constantly talking about co-created quantum healing, this sense of working with the other, which is often where we would say that a person can only heal when they choose to heal. And that rescued me, that statement, that this is a time that we've chosen to incarnate into, to work with others for the good of humanity, but very importantly, not for others' good at the sacrifice of our humanity. And I think that's what's happened over so many lifetimes. And with this growth of our souls and our energetic bodies becoming more attuned, it makes sense that our boundaries have to be more refined, that we have to be very aware of who we give our energy to. I've found that I am doing less but greater quality, and I'm finding better ways, such as workshops, such as my online healing portal called The Practice, to connect with people, different types of readings, different types of healings, and healing modalities that I will eventually share with the world so other people can train in it, because I'm aware that not only do we all need to be doing this upgrading, but it is something that needs to be done over years, over time, and with a great sense of pacing ourselves, because it does take a toll. We are so sensitive. But in saying that, what I also found really beautiful was this concept of the light bringer rather than the light worker. And hilariously, my guides have been getting into me for about 5 or 6 years about that term light worker. I would use it on all my socials as a hashtag light worker, because it was very popularist, but they would correct me and tell me, no, don't use that term. And I would ask them why, and they would say, look, it's very 3D. They don't use that term 3D, but that's again another term that's used in the popular vernacular that's easier to say. They say it's very reality paradigm, it's very old karma, it's very old ways. It's not the new reality, it's not the new spiritual energy, because the new spiritual energy is instant. You don't have to do anything. You are awoken, you are ready the instant you decide. And this aligns with a lot of philosophies and beliefs that I have, and it was really beautiful and freeing. And I think that's what might be so tumultuous about this time, is that we have so many people making this choice, which means they're being initiated. And if you have chosen to be spiritual, tell me what happened when you made that choice to honor your spirituality. My choice to honor my sacred self and my spirituality and my spiritual gifts was aligned with my Saturn return, and it was a cluster of chaos. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It was so full on. So the initiation of becoming a light bringer often disrupts things because we have to completely see the world through new eyes. We have to shift so dramatically into a new paradigm, and this requires a new way of doing things. I'm a trauma healer and I work with trauma psychotherapy. And one thing I like to explain to some clients is that actually divorce is quite a traumatic experience. This can sound bizarre, but when you think about divorce, you're often separating from this person that you once committed to. You may be separating a family up. Friends are divided, assets are divided, your identity is shifted, your geographic location changes, and the entire way you see yourself and the world and everything becomes challenged and changed. And so for many people, divorce can feel like this huge trauma, which it is. And I guess that's where I would say divorcing yourself from an unreality or the old reality will have the same impact of shift and chaos and change. You are divorcing yourself from things that don't work for you anymore. The fabric of your chosen reality, your energy body, what you were born into, and this experience and this existence in your life forevermore is being cleaved open. And so naturally that comes with discomfort and confusion and questioning. And this is the time we are in where everyone on some deep level who is here has chosen pretty much to do that in some way or another. Some fully, some as much as they need, but everyone is connected to that in some way. And so finally, I just wanted to make mention of something that I thought was really interesting, which was that the experience of waking up becomes something we do earlier and earlier and earlier in our lifetimes, which means that for some of us, we arrive, and for many of us, we will arrive in our next incarnation already awake. And I don't know if you have children, but I have children and they are bloody awake. There are some tremendous, beautiful beings coming through. These children are so awake. They are the old souls that are well older and more ancient than us, and they have incredible things to teach us. And so that really resonated. I'd love to hear from you what resonated. Reach out to me at hello@elisereiki.com and let me know how you went. That's hello@elisereiki.com. I'd love to hear feedback. I love to hear your experiences. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am sending you a river of love light this and every day forward. God bless. Namaste. Thank you so much for listening to the Stargate sessions. I've been your host, Elise Reiki. If you'd like to work with me or follow me on Instagram, just check me out. My Insta handle is at Elise Reiki, ELISEREIKI, or you can go to my website, elisereiki.com.